Hey guys, it's Cartney, and I'm here today with a story time video, and before anyone says it, I'm just going to address the fact that, yes, these have been made popular by Simply Nessa15, who's fantastic. I love her story time videos, I love her other videos, but she did not create these. Like, story time videos are just something that have gone on forever, and honestly, I personally first heard them from gigigorgeous, so I just wanted to say that I'm not copying or anything because this is my own story. It has nothing to do with hers. It's not like crazy like kidnapping and all that kind of stuff. My life ain't that insane. But I'm here today to tell you guys the story of basically like how I had the craziest first date ever with my boyfriend Andy. Is a lot of you have asked how I first met him. Basically how I met him was my best friend Caitlin is dating this one guy named Riley, and Riley had this friend named Andy, and Caitlin had told me, she's like, he'd be so good for you, I'm setting you up with him. Mind you, I had never met him, never seen him, anything. I had never seen a picture of him. Andy doesn't have social media or anything, and I was like, okay. That idea kind of went away and she never really talked about it again. Well, Riley brought it up again, and so did Caitlin, and she was texting him one day, and she's like, send me a picture of him. I sent her a picture of him, and she showed it to me. He's like, ooh, he just got a haircut. And I was like, okay. Pretty much you couldn't see him. You could see like this part of his face right here and like his hair. And that's it. So I was like, I don't really know what I'm supposed to think. One day I was hanging out with Caitlin and we were at this one area like shopping. And then she goes, we're going to Andy's house. I was like, I've never met him. And this was also during Christmas break. Yeah, that does have some sort of relevance, I promise. So it's during Christmas break, it's about a week before Christmas, and she's like, we're gonna go see him. I was like, okay. And I was like, oh, so nonchalant, but then when I got here, I was like, this is gonna be so awkward. I'm going to his house and I've never even met him, and they're setting us up, like, oh my gosh. So I get to his house, and we don't even know if we're supposed to go in, so eventually Riley comes out. And it's completely dark except for his room, so I didn't even know what his house honestly looked like. I just knew what his room looked like. And the first thing I see when I walk into his room is basically this half-naked girl, and it's like a Sports Illustrated girl, and I'm like, wow, this is a first impression. I was like, okay. Then we go and we drive around because we're super bored, we don't know what to do, so we went to Freddy's, which is like this ice cream and burger place, and we got an ice cream, and then we're like, okay, we're bored, what are we gonna do? So we're driving around, their friend Bennett was driving, so Bennett's driving, we don't know what to do, and then all of a sudden we're on this street because we've just been driving and driving and driving. So Bennett decides, hey, I'm gonna drive backwards. Me and Caitlin are in the back, Andy's in the middle, he's completely silent, and he's just super quiet, we don't say anything, like he doesn't talk to me, he doesn't look at me. So Bennett drives backwards and he's like, whoa, and all of a sudden, bam! And he has hit a trash can and his mirror fell off, his side mirror. So once that happened, we're like, okay, we're gonna go back to Bennett's house. So we went to Bennett's house. So we go from Andy's to Freddy's and all this to Bennett's house. So we're at Bennett's house, we're chilling, we're watching a movie. Okay, so Andy's sitting next to me on the couch. So there's Andy, me, and then Caitlin, and like Riley's kind of on the side. I noticed that my phone was dying and like I needed to keep up with my parents and stuff, let them know where I am because this has just been an oddball night and it has not gone where I expected it to. I asked Andy, I looked to him and I was like, hey, do you have a phone charger? He's like, no. No. He doesn't really look at me, he just says, no. I was like, okay. And then he gets up to go get a drink. He got so nervous, I think, because like it was his first time meeting me, that like he accidentally knocked over a lamp completely and it just broke all over the floor. It was so embarrassing for me to watch because I was just like, boy, this guy is nervous. But at the same time I was like, wow, there's someone as awkward as me. And that's basically like the first night I ever met him, and it was definitely different and he didn't really talk to me. Or Riley was texting Caitlin that night and he gave him my number that night because I never gave it to him because we never really talked. And then the next day he texted me and he texted me, oh, hello. Mind you, I don't have his number, so I'm like, who is this? And then I tell Caitlin and she's like, oh, that's him, talk to him. So I was like, who is this? And he's like, well, it's not a pencil. And I was like, this is a weird first impression. That week we texted and stuff. We decided we were gonna have a date the day after Christmas, which was a Friday. So we were gonna go to a park or whatever and just have picnics, so that's what we were gonna do. Christmas, I was super duper bored and I was like texting him and stuff, and he's like, hey, we should hang out. And I was like, okay, it's Christmas, it's nighttime, I'm not doing anything, I guess. So we didn't end up hanging out until about like 8:30 or 9 at night. So I got to his house and I was like, what are we gonna do? He told me, hey, let's go see a movie. I was like, okay, that's easy, casual, first date type of thing. I got this. I could not stop talking to him the whole time. Like, it was never uncomfortable. It was really smooth talking. It was easy. We never ran out of things to say. Well, we got to the movie theater and the only movie that was playing was Unbroken. And he was like, oh, this looks like it's gonna be good. I saw trailers, whatever. I was like, I don't care, whatever. But it wasn't gonna play for another hour and a half, so we just walked around and we talked, and it was like this really dead area and nothing was open because it was like 9:30 or 10, so we just walked around, talked, we sat in my car and we just listened to music and stuff. To see the movie, it was super boring. I like fell asleep during it pretty much. I was like, this sucks. I was like, I wished our first date could have been a better movie than this. After the movie, we're like, well, it's 1 in the morning. YOLO, let's go do something. So we went to the park because there's a park by the movie. We went to this little downtown area and we walked around there and it was super pretty because it was winter time, so there were all these twinkly lights and stuff, but it was freezing. So we went into my car after a while and it was maybe like 2 or 3 in the morning, something like that. We were just talking and stuff, so here's where it gets interesting. We're driving, I'm like, yeah, we're just talking, listening to music and stuff, blah, 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 whatever, first date type stuff, getting to know each other. We come to a railroad, okay? And mind you, this railroad is on like a little hill, and this is an area I don't drive around. The last time I had gone to this park was maybe when I first moved here, so it was like 8 years ago. So I did not know my way around here. I'd never driven here, so I was like, oh goodness, this is gonna be a mess. So we're driving over and we come to this railroad and I drive up and I'm like, okay, here's a railroad. I slow down and then I come down and I don't think anything of it. I'm like, okay, it's just gonna be the road and it continues going on. So I'm going at like a normal pace, okay? Maybe like 10 or 15 miles. I mean, you don't wanna go too fast over a railroad, especially at night, because you never know. So I'm driving and then all of a sudden I notice, like, it's one of those things where it's like time slows down, but at the same time things keep moving on even though in your head they're slowing down. And there was a median in the middle of the road. And I hit it because, you know, I didn't have enough time to swerve because your mind and your actual actions don't always correlate with each other and do things at exactly the same time. So it took me a second to process it. And I hit it. So I hit this and I was like, did I just hit that? And he's like, yeah, you did. And I'm freaking out, spazzing out, going crazy. And I keep driving because I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to do? We're in this park pretty much by ourselves, super late at night. Like, I don't want to be kidnapped or something. So I keep driving, and then all of a sudden, my car's like, boop, 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 boop. I'm like, oh God, please tell me I don't have a flat tire. So then we get out of the car. Okay, we've gotten out of the car, we're on the side of the road. We're on the side of the road in the middle of this park at like 3 in the morning, and I'm just freaking out because this is my first date. Like, what kind of an impression is this to make? So at this point, I'm freaking out because I'm like, oh God, I have a flat tire and I don't know how to change tires. So I was like, hey, do you know how to change one? He goes, yeah, no, I've never changed one before. And I was like, oh, this is just fantastic. I call my dad, he doesn't answer. And I was like, oh my God. Oh my God, oh my God, what do I do? Because most car places aren't open at 3 in the morning. A couple minutes later, he finally called me and I was like freaking out. I said, Dad, I got a flat tire because I ran into a median. Can you please come fix it? And he's like, yeah, I'll come fix it. Like, he's super groggy and tired, like I could tell he'd been asleep. We're waiting in the car, just chilling. We sat in the back because I was like, I don't want to sit in the front. So we were just chilling in the back of the car in this park, and it was like super cool though because we talked about his art and stuff and he was showing me different pieces he'd done. They were super cool. I was like, this is awesome. Our conversation was just rocking, man. I told you guys, like, there was no awkwardness, nothing. Like, we just talked so openly, casually, easily. It was fantastic. My dad comes and he looks at my car and he's like, where's your hubcap? I'm like, my hubcap? What do you mean? He's like, your hubcap isn't here. And then Andy goes, is that it down there? And he points like a couple hundred feet down, like about 10 feet from the railroad. I guess that's my hubcap. I don't know how I didn't notice that my hubcap wasn't there. And then Andy's like, oh yeah, I thought I heard it popped off when we were driving. I was like, why didn't you tell me to stop beforehand? Why did you let me keep driving? My dad changes the tire. It's about 4 in the morning now, so this whole thing has just progressed over quite a bit of time. Eventually I get home about 25 or 30 minutes later and I'm just freaking out. I'm so exhausted and I just plop on my couch. and my mom's there. She was all worried and panicked. She's like, what happened? What happened? So I told her and everything. And then I texted Andy and I was like, I really hope that you don't think I am like this crazy person. Please don't think that this is how I am all the time and this is how I drive and stuff. Even though, as it turns out, every time I drive with him, something crazy happens, but that's more stories for the future. And he's like, what are you talking about? This was like the best first date ever. It's so memorable. I will never forget this. This was definitely an awesome first date and stuff. And I was just like, phew. Score for having a very memorable first date. That is the story of my first date with my boyfriend, which ended with me having to call my dad because I had a flat tire at 4 in the morning. If you guys want more of these story time videos, then give this video a thumbs up and also comment down below because I've got more for you guys and I hope you thought this was interesting. I've told a lot of people before and they're like, that is definitely an interesting and very eventful first date. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you all so much and I will see you in my next video. Bye!